Hey there. This is going to be hopefully a very quick video about how to record deposits or income, revenue, sales into your QuickBooks when you're using outside software to kind of track your sales. So first I'll introduce myself. My name is Kasey Anton. I own a company called Spark Business Consulting. We specialize in bookkeeping, accounting, and profit first consulting for several types of small businesses, one of them being screen printers. So we have the pleasure of working with many screen printing companies, and we are pretty familiar with the industry. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So for this particular client that I'm working with, they weren't quite sure how exactly to record the income, right? There are so many different softwares, apps, point of sale systems out there, and every single one of them loves to say, we sync with QuickBooks. And maybe they do, but 99% of them sync very badly with QuickBooks and create an absolute terrible mess. So being in the line of work that we're in, we have the fun of working with all kinds of apps and softwares with QuickBooks. We're QuickBooks Pro Advisors, so that is the accounting software we use. So we've gotten to, try out a bunch. And like I said, 99% do not do it well or without a ton of extra work involved. It's just not necessary. There is 1% that do it well, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Mainly, especially for your industry, we would recommend to do something different. Now, there is a software out there that most of you, I'm sure, know about called Printavo. They do a fantastic job of doing what it is they were built to do. Create invoice, send them out to your clients, and collect payments. That's great. That's really called accounts receivable. That's your AR department, and they seem to do it very well, and you can let them handle that. Because that's what Printavo is designed to do, we don't need to recreate the wheel again in QuickBooks and also have your AR department in QuickBooks as well. That would be crazy. It would be very labor intensive. So with accounting in general, we want to keep things super, super simple as they possibly can, while still being accurate and while still giving you the financials tools that you need to run your business, that you want to run your business. It's a really important tool to have these financials. So we want them done well, but we also want them done super simple and streamlined. So whenever we work with a client that has kind of this issue and they come to us, the first thing that we always ask, tell me about your business and how you view it. What do you sell, or what are your revenue streams? How do you look at the income? Because these books there's really, there's more than one way to do this. So it's really up to the business owner and how they view their business. So for this particular client, we went through kind of this little exercise. It's like, okay, all right, I think I have three main revenues, right? I have online stores, I have total brand management, and I also have B2B or wholesale. Those are his three main buckets. And there's some things that go on within there, but overall, to try and keep things as simple as possible, which is always going to be the goal with accounting and always should be, that's where we'd start. Well, to be honest with you, the way we could start was just call everything sales, have one line item called income sales and call it a day, right? But that's not that helpful when you're going to be diving into your financials, right? So it's better to break it out a little bit. We don't want to go crazy. For example, we work with a lot of restaurants as well, and we always want our restaurants to break out food, wine, liquor, beer, non-alcoholic beverage. It's pretty much a given how we're going to break out a restaurant sales. Now, if somebody came to me and said, okay, but under food, I want to break out how many steaks, how much seafood, how much pasta, could we do that? Yeah. Is it necessary? No. Like, that is just not something you need on your financial reports. But we do need those main buckets. We just don't need to know every single item under those buckets. There's other ways to get that information that we don't need to do it in accounting, which can be super expensive to get that level of detail, which is probably not necessary. So back to this. So for this client, we figured out, okay, great. You have three main revenue streams. That's what we're going to go. That's what we're going to go with. So then the next thing I'm going to turn to is not Printavo. It's not going to be Stripe. It's not going to be Shopify. It's not even going to be QuickBooks. I want to look at your bank account. Let me look at your bank statement. I want to see the way the deposits hit your account. Because when we do that, really what's happening in your bank statements, in your bank account, that's the truth of what's going on in your business, right? That's really the accurate truth. That's the black and white money. So let me see, let's start there. So if you recognize if you use QuickBooks Online, and you recognize this is the banking center here, and we did an update. So as of today, or this was yesterday, it wants to bring in these deposits. And the way it's coming through, I already created rules, so that's something you might want to do as well. So whenever QuickBooks sees a Stripe transfer, for Stripe, I'm having to go to this account that I created, and I called Stripe deposits to be distributed. I'll get to why I did that in a minute. Whenever it sees deposit Sigma Chi Shopify, it automatically knows that that's going to go to his total brand management, and that we have a little sub account called Sigma Chi because it's a big brand. It's something he wants to track. That's absolutely fine. There's also another Shopify account that he named. It's called Morale. And every time we see that on the deposit, which we will, we're going to put that to the total brand management Morale. And so he knows now, okay, great, I can go into Shopify and I can name things a certain way so that when you see deposit, you know exactly where it goes. Perfect, boom, done. And then I can create a rule so it automatically happens and it's tracking your income, the way it comes into your business, the way you see it, boom, done. And the same thing is done. I don't have it on this download here, but whenever I see an RDC, which is a remote deposit capture, this client told me, well, whenever you see that, that's me taking a picture of a check, right, and depositing it. And the only people that mail in checks are our wholesale or B2B clients. So therefore, whenever I see a deposit come through as RDC, then I know that that's where it goes, to deposits, to B2B wholesale income account. So that's done. So we have Shopify all set up and ruled and ready to go. And the same with his RDC deposits. Now, the last deposit, like I'd mentioned, is Stripe. And when we see Stripe come in, Stripe can be one of two things. For this client, it can be his online stores, or some of it could also be his B2B. So that's why whenever I see Stripe deposit, I have it go to this one account called Stripe Deposits to be distributed. That is an other asset account, so it's on his balance sheet. It's just a bucket. It's a holding center on his balance sheet that's going to tell me when I look at it, I need to distribute those funds. And how do I do that? When we go into Stripe, and for every deposit, we can go into, you might be familiar with this, balances, payouts right here. So for every deposit, it's going to show. So these are all deposits matched to his bank account. So if I want to go into one, I click on it, right? I can go to export. And this is going to take a minute to create the Excel file for me to look at so that I can separate out his income. So when this opens up, I've already spoken with a client. We've looked at this report together and he said, oh yeah. So whenever you see, and I'll show you right here, it's under description. So yeah, all of these here, these are all my online stores. So great, all this money is going to online stores. Here's the thing, whenever I see payment for invoice, that is B2B. Those are the only items on here that he wants segregated out from his Stripe deposits that don't go to online stores, that they just go to his B2B. So the way that we do that is that we're going to just sort this column. Oh, it doesn't let me sort it from there. Okay, so just go sort, and here we go. Payment on invoice. It's just these three amounts. So all I do is go ahead and total those three amounts, and that amount of this $9,000 deposit, so I'll show you back here. So of this $99.07 deposit, those four payment on invoices, that amount is going to go to his B2B, and the balance of this will go to online stores. And we can do that for every deposit. We could probably just do it once a week or month end. I think just to be a little bit more on the detailed side for a while, we're going to do this on every deposit just so we can track it for this client. And we also will make an entry to track any fees that come out here so that we're correctly posting his sales in QuickBooks while also backing out what the fees are. So that's really it. I just wanted to get that point across that you don't need to reinvent the wheel, that sometimes when you're using outside softwares, apps, point of sales, let them do what they were designed for. And in QuickBooks, just try and keep things as simple and streamlined as possible. And we can do that together, or you can just do that by just thinking in the most simplistic form of what your sales are. And you can do the same with your cost of goods sold and your expenses. Just try and stay super, super simple. And then you can get fancy later on as needed. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us on our website, which is sparkbusinessconsulting.com. Thanks.